What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be replacing the carburetor on this Kohler Courage XT-7. It's a power washer. Started leaking gas out of the carburetor, and typically that's not good. From my experience, you got a 50-50 shot of actually fixing it once it starts to leak out of the carburetor assembly. Putting a new needle and seat in it may or may not fix it. You might be wasting your time. For warranty purposes and peace of mind, I like to quote full carburetor assemblies for leaking carburetors, especially on stuff like this. I mean, the parts are cheap enough. I think I got this brand new Kohler carburetor off of Amazon. I think it was right around $30, maybe a little less. Anyway, I'll show you what you need to get started. Alright, the tools you'll need: a 10mm socket, a ratchet, or impact. Impact's optional, you don't really need it. I've got tons of them. So two 10mm wrenches. This is optional. The gas is already all leaked out of the fuel tank. It's empty. I don't need to pinch the line off to stop the flow of fuel. Chances are, if you're replacing the carburetor, you're going to want to drain the tank, probably clean the tank, make sure there's no debris or any water or anything in the tank that would contaminate the new carburetor. So if you want to pinch the line off, if you know it's fresh fuel, if you know it's good, you can pinch the line off. If not, highly recommend flushing it out, draining it, cleaning it, to ensure the life of the new carburetor. So this for the linkages, some needle nose. I'm not sure what kind of clamp is on the fuel line. Might need those. If it leaves any gasket behind, got a scraper. I use this to remove fuel line. If I need anything else, I won't know until I get there. I haven't done enough of these Kohlers to know it by heart. If it was a Briggs, you know, I'd be able to tell you everything. I want to service it too. That will probably be another video. I got a spark plug, air filter, pre-cleaner, and I'll change the oil on it. It's soaked. It leaked so bad, the carburetor leaked gas so bad that it soaked the air filter, so you definitely need one of those. So I went ahead and got that. Doesn't take much to change that, so let's get to it. One thing I didn't mention before, definitely want a good parts tray. Don't want to lose anything. Keep it all together, keep it contained, keep it clean. Makes life a whole lot easier. I work for a dealership. Got to be fast, got to be efficient. So we're going to remove the air cleaner box, just like that. This is the air cleaner. This one was a foam one. It has been contaminated with fuel. We will no longer be needing that. Again, I say I work for a dealership. You might not have access to this kind of stuff, but I own about 3 impacts like this. 1 DeWalt and 2 snap-ons. I got 2 here, 1 at work. You can use a ratchet, but just makes life a whole lot easier when you do this all day, every day. And these are 10mm, by the way. There's one over here that holds the air box. It's a little tight up in there. You know, the socket barely fits past the thing, past the shroud here. So again, good parts tray. Makes life easier. There's a breather right here. I'm going to go ahead and pry that off. Just pushes right off. There's nothing in it. It's just a crankcase ventilation to the airbox. Just like that. Gonna pull this off. See what's behind here. There is a crankcase. There is a primer tube back here. Sorry, excuse me, primer for the primer bulb. Go ahead and remove that. It just pops off just like that. By the way, there's spacers falling out at me. This one goes in between the block and there, right there. So just remember that that has a spacer in between it. And this gasket just peeled right off. Didn't leave much behind, so it shouldn't be too hard to clean that up and get that nice. Okay. You might be wondering, how the heck do I get this off? This one actually has plenty of play compared to a lot that I've repaired, replaced. But I'm going to show you, if you can't bend this linkage, and I don't recommend bending this linkage, that can mess up all kinds of things. So if you don't feel comfortable, or it physically won't move that far to remove off the studs, you're going to want to take these nuts. You're going to want to put this one on like that. Take the number 2, put that one on like that. This is where your 2 10mm wrenches come into play here. So gonna want to snug those up nice and tight. Then just put it on the outer, and it will remove the entire stud from the cylinder head. So we're gonna go ahead and do that on both of these. Probably want to take this fuel line off first. Get that out of my way. It does have just a regular clamp, so just some regular pliers will get that right off. Again, this fork tool, one of my go-tos for little fuel lines like this. If there's any gas in here, it's not much. Yeah, it all leaked out. This is where you would want to pinch the line if you feel the need. If you know your tank is clean and you don't have to worry about it, you can just pinch it right there. Don't kill it. You don't want to damage the rubber. Just enough to where the rubber will pinch itself off and stop the flow. Just about like this. You don't want to damage it. So, just like that, if needed. Go ahead and remove this. You just put your wrenches back on your nuts, break them free. Really got them on there. There we go. Just break those free. And these are the nuts that mount the carburetor, so there's nothing special about them. Don't need to buy any extra hardware. If you hear any barking or odd sounds, it could either be my 2 dogs, which are accompanying me on this voyage tonight, or the baby monitor. I just put my son down, so figured I'd get out and get some work done. This is a customer's. All the parts for it, so I'm gonna go ahead and knock the carburetor out, and I'll service it tomorrow. I'm not doing that tonight. Okay. Now you're gonna be reinstalling this, so you don't have to take the nuts off. Alright. Gasket comes out just like that. There's an isolator block behind it. Normally they're stuck on there pretty good. You don't have to mess with them. If they fall off, just make sure you remember which order they came out of. Alright, this linkage here. Daisy, don't start. This linkage here, and I don't want to mess with the camera too much with dirty hands, but all you got to do, there's a little groove in it right there, and you can just turn the entire linkage and pull it right up. And this little spring just goes in that little tiny hole right there. There's your carburetor. We're going to get our brand new Kohler carburetor. Comes with all the gaskets and everything. Very convenient, very easy. One tool I did not show you was you're going to want to need a knife to get into your packaging. Don't cut any of the gaskets. Okay. Well, this gasket does not look the same. It will work, but it does not look exactly the same. I'm sure they manufacture this carburetor for a dozen units. So this is the old gasket, and it just kind of shields the heat from the engine to the carburetor, and just like that. This one's just kind of still provides a shield, but it's not exactly made identical to it. Not a big deal. Make sure this is clean. Gasket fell off very easy, so shouldn't have to worry about that too much. Okay. Here's the other gasket. This one goes on the outside. We'll put that aside. Alright, here's a new carburetor. Take the small linkage, put it right in the little hole right here. Right back where it was. And again, I'm just going to bend the linkage just like that so it lines up. Pops right down in there. Just like that. It's going to mount just like that. Now, take your stud, fish it right back through. This is very, very, very easy. Hondas, they are a pain in the butt. They have 3 or 4 different gaskets, 2 isolators, studs, and well, no, it's not studs, it's bolts. What sucks about it on a Honda is you can't do this piece by piece like this. On a Honda, it's a bolt this long, and it runs through the airbox, into a gasket, into the carburetor, into another gasket, into an isolator, into another gasket, into another gasket material like this. I have been known to stand those engines directly up, where the carburetor would be up, and just slide everything down as an assembly, because it is a pain in the butt trying to do it like this. Probably one of my least favorite things to do. And I love Honda. They make excellent equipment, very reliable. Never had an issue. Picking up where I left off, we're going to keep the gasket in this position. It looks funky any other way, so just use your best judgment. Before you really tighten any of this stuff down, you're going to want to make sure your linkages are actually on there. Move with no issue. They're not bending, binding, anything like that. So then we'll tighten this stud back up. You don't need to kill it, just snug it on up. Remove your nuts. I hope this is in focus. Now all these new carburetors should come preset to where they need to be. You should not have to mess with any adjustments. None of this stuff. Some of them have screws coming in with little springs and stuff. Hold on, let me see. I've got plenty of crap over here to choose from. Let's see what we got. Alright, this is an old one. Use this. Stuff like this right here. Hopefully that's in focus. Sometimes you'll see stuff like this. That adjustment. If you see anything like this and you're replacing the entire assembly, don't touch it. You'll regret that. About 99.9% of the time, these things are ready to go. You should not have to adjust anything. Maybe there's that off chance you get a dud, but majority of the time, don't mess with it. Go ahead and pull your nuts back off. We'll be using them in just a minute. Put your fuel line back on. Just push that right there. Use this if needed. Make sure it's all the way up on there. Install your clamp. Okay. All that seems good. This gasket can go in a couple different ways. Like that. Like this. It will go on, but there's only one correct way. And kind of use common sense with this. Those two holes are exposed. That's where they need to be. If you happen to put this on upside down, it's going to block one of those holes. Don't do that. You want it facing where it should be. Everything lines up, everything is available. And we'll take our cover here, make sure that's all clean. Shouldn't be anything wrong with it. This is the primer right here for your primer and your little hose. So put that back on. It's going to be hard to see, probably impossible to see almost. Just, you get it. You get what I'm doing. Hopefully. Make sure that's seated. And we'll come over here. We're going to, if I can find them. There we go. We're going to put that right there. Don't forget your spacer. And that is over here. Sorry about that. Let's see about this. Spacer goes right in between the airbox and the block. They can be a pain sometimes. This one's pretty nice, wide open, so just put that in there. Put the spacer in with the two hands there. Start this stuff. Tighten them evenly. Make sure they're on there by hand. Nice and even. Draw it up to the gasket. Don't want to pinch it, ruin it, disturb it anyway. Your breather wants to pop right back on there, so just go ahead and do that. Push that right back on there. Okay, remember when I said if you have impact you can use it? Don't use it to install this stuff. This stuff is way too brittle. It's way too small. This isn't a truck. This isn't a car. This is a small engine. It's kind of goes without saying. This ratchet is definitely overkill. I just like using these. I love the swivel heads. So just kind of snug it up. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and not use that. The longer the ratchet, the more leverage, and it's harder to judge how tight you get something. And this stuff will break, so just be cautious. It's little stuff just like that, just tighten it down. Starts getting a little resistance. Just like that. Make sure they're even. Just like that. Alright. Clean this up a little bit. And install our new filter. As if I really need to make a video about that, but oh well, we're here, we're doing it. Genuine Kohler air filter. Just going to push right up in there, just like that. And then our pre-cleaner. And this is a pre-cleaner, so if you don't get that, it's before the filter, pre-filter. Go ahead and knock any dirt, dust out of that case. Put that right up in there. We're gonna put this right up in there. This wants to be a pain. Snug that down just like that. We're done. Everything looks good. Fill the gas. Go to work. Thanks for watching.